Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Monday edition of Inside the 20 with myself and Keith Niebuhr. I am your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. I'm joined, as I always am, by Mr. Keith Niebuhr. Keith, how about you, man?
What's going on, man?
I don't know. It's a little early on Monday.
Yeah, we're recording about an hour earlier than usual. And I don't know, man. I'm not a morning person anymore. I used to be. Not anymore. I don't know what happened.
I don't either. But the show must go on, Keith.
The show must go on. That's right.
The show must go on, Keith. It's Monday, January 16th, 2 days left in the transfer portal window. It closes on the 18th. Of course, it doesn't matter for Auburn. It's going to end on the 18th. Anyways, that is the last day to add classes for Auburn. So that's Wednesday. So you got 48 hours left to get somebody to class. Right now, Auburn's got 12 transfer commitments / signings, although signings with transfers are meaningless. We've learned that. Hell, we've seen guys flip. We've seen Avery Jones flip. We've seen Walter Rouse flip 3 times, I think. So these signings don't mean anything until these kids start class, and Wednesday is the last day to add. Right now, as far as I've got it, Keith, of the guys that we've confirmed to visit, only 2 have not made a commitment, and that is Damian George, offensive lineman Damian George from Alabama, and, of course, Nick Jackson, the linebacker from Virginia, who visited Friday or Saturday and left saying he didn't want to talk, but I did get confirmation that he doesn't plan to transfer until after the spring when he graduates from Virginia. So those 2 guys are the only 2 guys that we know of who have visited Auburn and have yet to make a decision. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't have somebody in last night like they did Avery Jones a week ago. That doesn't mean they're not going to have people in today or tomorrow. There's still time to do that. And we know that Auburn's still looking for a quarterback. We know they're still looking for another offensive lineman, another edge, another linebacker. Will they get those guys in before Wednesday? It remains to be seen. But you never know.
Yeah, cloud of secrecy surrounding
very tight
4 guys. And the reason is we know when a high school kid visits, there's that sugar high.
Sure.
And so then they back up, the sugar high off the visit. Hey, it was great. They're ready to jump in. And then they take a step back and then go take more visits. These guys don't have that time. So the sugar high is what you're looking for, because you know that if you get this guy on the sugar high on the visit, there may not be any other visits. They're under a time crunch, these transfers. And also in this NIL era, Jeffrey, if you don't want, as a school, everybody else knowing who you even have on campus, because they may try to get that guy. If they know Auburn's interested in a guy, that's going to pique their interest in a guy. And nobody wants that price driven up, right? That NIL price. So there's just all kinds of – I mean, you think it wouldn't be that big a deal. You think, okay, look, Auburn's recruiting a kid. Who cares? It's Auburn. If one big school likes him, other big schools like him. But they really – we're finding out that a lot of schools, it's not just Auburn, they do not want that information percolating out to others. They also don't want specifically the quarterback position. Man, that is under lock and key. Okay? That absolutely, they don't want that out there because I don't know. I just think that, what we've seen in at the high school level is the one school offers a kid and then everybody offers them. And so there is that kind of follow the leader type mentality. And so if you're another school out there and you're unsure about a quarterback, but Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery's after the guy, well, hell, guys, I think we need to take a second look at this. I mean, they're not going after stiffs. Look at Philip Montgomery's track record. Look at Hugh Freeze's track record. And so I think that's another reason why. And also, man, these NIL deals are just we can't. It's hard to even access the dollar amounts. There's such a, I don't know, man. I don't enjoy that element of it, to be honest with you, Jeffrey. It's going to blow up in the faces of, it's not going to last. This is not sustainable.
Right.
But
I can't imagine it being
just recruiting coverage. It does make it difficult because usually if someone's saying, hey, look, I'm really into Auburn, it's done. I'm good. It's over. It's over 99 times out of 100. But in this NIL world, guys they're leaving a school and that school's feeling great. And 2 days later, they've got another school feeling great. It's basically the high school recruiting on steroids, is what it is.
Absolutely.
It's insane. I know I'm talking in circles, but we're just trying to get our arms around it. And so are the colleges, quite frankly. I mean, if you're Brett Bielema, You just landed in December a very talented center from East Carolina, Avery Jones, and you've done nothing to. There's been nothing out there to think for you to think that you're not getting this kid. And then the last day of the January 4th through January 8th visit period for transfers, Auburn gets him on campus with just hours left, just literally just a few hours left. He falls in love with Auburn and the situation there. And what was it? A day later, he's flipped. He was on his way. He was packed and driving to Champaign and didn't make it.
It was Sunday afternoon. He was gone.
Literally waiting as a staff. And it's funny if you're an Auburn fan because you just picked up probably your starting center. But everybody at Auburn knows that someday Auburn's going to be on the other side of that.
Ooh.
And it hurts. And so if you're Illinois, then you're back to the drawing board. So great pickup for Auburn, obviously. But that just shows you the instability right now in the recruiting world with transfers. But yeah, Auburn's done great so far, Jeffrey. I mean, of the 12 guys, I think 9 of them are ranked at 21st or better at their respective positions in the On3 transfer portal rankings. We all think at least 6 or 7 of them are starters. I end up being starters in year 1. I think up to 9 of them could be starters next season. So, Auburn's done great, specifically on the offensive and defensive lines, and now at linebacker with the latest pickup, which you wrote about, Austin Keys. But again, addressing the needs has been significant. Not a huge need at defensive back, so they're not really touching that yet. Tight end, they wanted a guy that fit their system. They got him in Rivaldo Fairweather. Running back and kick returner, they wanted a guy that fit their system. They got one in Brian Battie of USF. Offensive line, 2 starting tackles and a center they've gotten. I'd say that's pretty good. Defensive line, which needed to get better and needed more bodies because the rotation's been so small the last few years. They bulked up there with talent. So they brought in bodies. The last couple of years, they brought in bodies. We don't know how good those guys were. This year, they brought in bodies. Those guys should be able to, if not start, certainly be in the rotation and playing a lot and making a difference. Linebacker, same thing. The only really areas where there's been some shortcomings, edge rusher and obviously quarterback. Edge rushers are it's a premium position. Same with quarterback. So it's hard to get those guys. But again, we should point out there is another transfer window after spring practice. I think that one's 15 days. That'll be an absolute feeding frenzy as well.
Yeah.
But at least if you're Auburn, you've got all these needs addressed. You'll have spring practice to then go through and really, intensely evaluate your roster, and then you'll know for sure what you need moving forward. And it may only be 3 or 4 guys at that point, and you can lock in on those guys. So I think Auburn's in a great spot. Like we keep saying, so much better spot than just 4 to 6 weeks ago. Amazing turnaround. A lot of good players that are going to start.
Have the number 2 transfer portal ranking from On3. Still a lot behind UCLA. I don't think anybody's going to be able to catch UCLA. So 2 is about as high as you're going to be able to get, and Auburn's there with 48 hours to go. Keith, I want to talk to you about the quarterback situation in the 2024 class. We talked about the transfer portal guys. Auburn wants an experienced guy, but they also need guys, those program quarterbacks, those young guys to come in and be ready to contribute in 2 to 3 years. You got to have those guys on the roster. You got to have those guys ready. Before we do, man, I want everybody to I know everybody here is looking for a car, and then they're going, where can I go? I don't know what to do. I need a new car, and I don't know who to call. You're welcome. Caleb Schofield, folks. Mike Patton Auto in LaGrange, Georgia. Give him a call, 334-531-0996. New Ford, Lincoln, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Honda. And the used car lot is even more diverse. All used cars have to pass a multi-point inspection before they even think about selling them. They back those cars with a free 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty. Keith himself is enjoying that right now. And the new vehicles come even more insured. Lifetime powertrain warranty, unlimited time, unlimited mileage, and it's free. Absolutely free. Not in the market for a car? You need $300? Send them to Caleb. He'll give you those. He'll give you that $300. 334-531-0996. Caleb Schofield at Mike Patton Auto there on Lafayette Parkway in LaGrange, Georgia. Keith, Auburn lost a commitment.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's today? Monday. They lost it. Was it yesterday? Saturday? Saturday. Adrian Posse from Mater Academy
in Hialeah.
That's what I said.
Which is Miami.
There you go. From Miami, he was a Eric Keystall guy. He was a Brian Harsing guy. I don't think anybody really thought that this guy would stick just because he's not from the staff. I mean, this was, again, not Hugh Freeze's pick. So opened his recruitment up on Saturday. Where does Auburn turn now, Keith?
Well, if we could backtrack for 1 second, Jeffrey, when he committed, it was during Big Cat weekend. And you'll recall there were two guys that wanted to commit that weekend, two quarterbacks. The other was a kid named Prentice Air Noland out of the Atlanta area of Langston Hughes High School in Fairburn, Georgia, just west of Atlanta. They both wanted to commit. And the staff basically said, let's just take one, because to our knowledge, they hadn't told Posse that they would take a second quarterback in the class. So they created a situation there, right? Yeah. So they hadn't told him, hey, you're probably going to be one of two. So and he didn't necessarily want to be one of two, because I think he had some opportunities to be the second guy at other schools, including Notre Dame. So they took his commitment and had Aaron Nolan kind of back off, and then he really pumped the brakes on his recruitment. But Aaron Nolan is, while we don't think he's been reoffered by the staff yet, still is communicating with them, to our understanding, and will visit Auburn soon. And so that situation there was, and Aaron Nolan, by the way, was fine being part of a 2 QB class. He didn't mind. I think Posse would have come around to it. I think Posse just wanted to be at Auburn, but Auburn certainly, from what we know and have been told by multiple people, didn't handle that that great. You know what I mean? So you had both of them there at Big Cat weekend. Both of them wanted to commit. One of them got to commit. He committed in front of everybody there, while the other one had to sit and watch that. Okay. I mean, just,
with his 4-star teammates all around him.
Yeah. Who none of them ended up, except for one, Terrence Love, going to Auburn. So would it made a difference if they take Aaron Noland? I don't know, because Brian Harsin ultimately got fired in the end anyway, along with Eric Keeson. That could have blown everything up. Who knows? But point being, that's where they were. And Adrian Posse was a guy that, again, did have a lot of options. But then he transferred schools last fall and wasn't able to play until midseason. So he didn't get to get the full season. People kind of lost track of him. So his recruitment's now going to start all over again. But he hadn't had any contact at all with the new staff, Jeffrey. I talked to his dad on Friday. We kind of, our gut feeling was we need to reach out to this guy. We haven't heard anything. That same day, his father told us that that his son hadn't talked to anybody at Auburn since Cadillac Williams was was the interim coach, excuse me. We know that Philip Montgomery, the OC, and Hugh Freeze, the head coach, went to another school that same day, first thing in the morning, Little Rock Academy in Arkansas, to see Walker White, a 4-star 2024 quarterback. So obviously at that point, things are lining up. We were told that Auburn had tried to reach out to Posse for a couple of days to kind of part ways with them. And so that's what happened. Saturday, I guess, either Friday afternoon, Friday night, or Saturday, they finally got a hold of him. And the two sides decided that it was best if a decommitment was made, he went on his own. Now, he'll be fine. He's got a big arm. He's a big kid, but more of a pro-style guy, Jeffrey, like you said, fit Brian Harsin's offense. So, again, all that to get to where we're at now. Walker White is one quarterback. He's on campus on Monday. He's visiting Auburn on Monday. He's got a lot of visits. Arkansas over the weekend, Auburn on Monday when we're recording, Alabama on Tuesday. Texas A&M is going to get him in town later. Clemson's going to get him in town later. So that they've got a lot going on, Jeffrey, at the quarterback position. Walker White, though, seems to be the number one guy.
I do, Keith, and you talked about last night on the call-in show reading tea leaves. And to me, you talk about red flags with Adrian Posse. This is like green flags with Walker White. Where did Hugh Freeze show up the first day he could? In Little Rock, Arkansas. You talked about that already. We know that White has mutual interest in Auburn. I think Auburn's not going to have much trouble getting quarterbacks with Hugh Freeze on campus, with Philip Montgomery, with Kent Austin. It's going to be, I would expect, high-caliber quarterbacks wanting to play in this offense. Walker White, being from Arkansas, he's a 4-star kid. He's a big guy. Big guy. Well, I mean, he's not skinny. He's not scrawny. He's 6'3", 225. At least that's what he's listed at as a 16-year-old. 4-star quarterback, number 13 quarterback in the country, according to the On3 consensus, the number 1 overall player in Arkansas. That'll tell you how good he is and then how high Freeze has him on the board. When he visits, which you think, Keith, today?
Supposed to be today. We're recording Monday, MLK Day.
Okay. I'll be curious to see. What have you gotten the feedback from him, Keith, as far as Auburn?
I think so. Here's the deal. He's a super, and he goes to Little Rock Christian, and that should be a little giveaway. He's a super religious kid, highly religious. I don't know if super is the right word. Deeply religious kid from a religious family. And we, we're in the South. Okay, that's pretty common, but not everybody is that. Not everybody fits that mold. He does. Well, who else who does that align with? Hugh Freeze. He has told me that he really loves that Christian element, that Christian aspect that Hugh Freeze brings. And also, for those of you wondering, what about the trouble Freeze got in? What about that? I mean, he's had to address it time and again. I kind of feel bad for the guy, to be honest with you. But I asked Walker White about that. What about, well, actually, no, I didn't even have to ask him. I'm sorry. He brought it up, and he said, I love the redemption story of Hugh Freeze. So he knew about that. He knows a lot about Hugh Freeze, okay? He knows about the religious element that Freeze is bringing to his program. That's and that's not going to be for every kid, but I think that is for Walker White. He loves the redemption story. And so when he visits Monday, it's going to be his first chance to really, now he's met Hugh Freeze, but it was just a handshake. That's really a hello. That's all you can do when they visit the school at this stage.
When the coach visits.
That's right, when a coach visits a school. But I think my gut says this is going to be a guy that we're going to have to watch real closely.
Okay.
I think this is a guy, this is A1. This is their number one guy. Now, he's also high on the board at Ole Miss and Clemson, too, which now Clemson's a real threat. Dabo, same thing. Big religious right? But also, Dabo just hired a new offensive coordinator. So they've got some heat within Clemson again because they lost it a little bit, let's be honest, with their offense. Well, they hired Garrett Riley from TCU, one of the hot young OCs in the country. That's going to put Clemson in it. And then he visits Alabama on Tuesday. So you never count out Alabama. And I don't know if I mentioned Ole Miss or not, but Ole Miss is it. Arkansas, you got Kendall Browse. To me, and then Texas A&M, obviously. Those are the schools to watch. Those are the schools he's visiting, and those are the schools to watch. But my gut says Auburn is very high on his list. I think after this visit today, we're going to learn, Monday, we're going to learn a lot, and we're going to come to the realization that this guy is going to have Auburn very high on his board, just as they have him. That's what my gut's telling me.
Sure.
There's too much with the religious angle there, okay? And I think that could give Hugh Freeze and his staff a real in. I mean, do you think about that stuff that I just mentioned when you think about Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher? You don't, right? Do you think about that stuff when you think about Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin?
No.
And that's not a knock on those guys. They're tremendous coaches, but it's I'm only going by what he said. There were no leading questions. Hey, how do you feel about the religious element? Hey, what do you think about Hugh Freeze's redemption story? He brought that stuff up. Something to watch.
Yeah, important to note. The On3 RPM recruiting prediction machine has Ole Miss. This is a heavy favorite right now. The reason why, he's visited Ole Miss 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 times that we're aware of. He's been to in-state Arkansas at least 3 times we're aware of. Alabama twice. He'll make that third visit on Tuesday. He's also been to TCU, Mississippi State, at least according to his On3 pro. Those are confirmed visits. I'm not
point out who these teams land as transfers could impact his recruitment as well. If Auburn or Ole Miss land a fifth-year guy, they're going to be gone. No problem, right? But what if one of these schools, like an Ole Miss, lands a Walker Howard?
That was my problem with Walker
and you're
Howard.
Stacked behind him. Clemson, which seems to be very much in the hunt, has been getting a lot of quarterbacks lately. Cade Klubnik 2 years ago, he's now the starter. This cycle that just ended, the 2023 class, Clemson signed Chris Fazzina, who everybody knows that covers Auburn or follows Auburn. He's from Birmingham. So then you'd be stacking them. Well, Alabama's had great success stacking them and it hasn't hurt them. But a lot of programs, that's a hard sell. It's a hard sell. Nobody wants to sit 3 years or 4 years anymore. You know what I mean? So something to watch there. And Auburn, obviously, probably a faster timetable to play. You know what I mean? We think. I mean, there's
less traffic.
Yeah, less traffic right now. But what if Auburn somehow gets Walker Howard? I mean, things can change in an instant. But I would say right now, Auburn's very much in the thick of things with Walker White.
Something we're going to be tracking at Auburn Live on 3. If you're not a member of that site, we ask you to go check us out, man. Right now, there's still a special going on, $29.99 until next September. That's the next time you'll have to pay $30 now through August. Let's put it that way. We'll be tracking the transfer portal over the next 48 hours. The 2024s are starting to arrive on campus. Already have been this past weekend. They're going to continue throughout the month of January before the dead period re-engages at the end of the month. And, of course, signing day that first Wednesday in February. We'll be tracking it all at Auburn Line. Hey, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. We're so close to 5K, Keith. So close.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Just need a few more to go. Subscribe. It's free, folks. Hit that notifications. You'll get all our videos brought to your phone. We will be back.
I did want to throw in one thing, Jeffrey.
Okay.
A 2026 quarterback.
I don't dabble in those.
You don't?
Dude, I mean, how young does that make him?
Very young. Landon Duckworth from Jackson, Alabama is visiting Auburn on Monday as well.
Oh, I wonder if he's any kin to Tim.
When a guy's at 2026, that means we'll be at earliest he'd probably be playing in 2028.
I'll be 50 years old.
I don't know if we'll be alive in 2028. Okay,
yeah, he's like 13.
Yeah, we'll still have,
he's Brooks's age.
Will we still have a country in 2020? I mean, things can change fast. Okay, but he's visiting Monday as well too, and that just goes to show you they're as a staff they're working earlier and earlier on guys to try to get in.
I really do need to know if he's 18 in 2026, that means he was born in 2008. He's 2 years older than Brooks. He's about 14. He's 14. Wow. Kid must be good, man.
6'3".
Yeah. Hey, guys like that keep us in business. Keith, if there were no elite prospects after the 2023 class or 2024 class, we'd be hurt. We wouldn't have a job. So we are grateful. Anyways, hey, appreciate everybody listening, man. We'll be back Wednesday morning with another Inside the 20.
We'll do it live.
Yeah. I'll write it myself. Appreciate it, man. For Keith, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of the left lane. See ya.